Hi, welcome to I believe this is the fourth installment on the Teardrop trailer build. As you can see today in Massachusetts, we're getting a snowstorm. But fortunately for me, I've cleared out some space in the garage and I've got the heater running so we can continue the build indoors. So let's take you inside and we'll show you where we're at, just as a reminder of how far we've gotten in the process so far. So the heater is running, so hopefully the audio is okay. But this is where we are so far. We've got our deck laid on, our new wheels and tires, and our first installment was welding up the frame. So today, I've got my 2 sheets of plywood over there behind the refrigerator. And what we're going to be doing is tracing the profile and cutting out the sides of the trailer. There's a couple other things I wanted to talk about too real quickly before we get started. A couple people have asked me why I didn't paint or treat the plywood deck before I put it on. And the reason is I use pressure-treated plywood. And pressure-treated plywood, it can't be painted right away because it needs to continue to dry out and it's actually going to shrink up just a little bit. So you're supposed to wait 3 to 6 months before painting anything pressure-treated. The second thing was, why didn't I insulate the floor? Well, simply because I'm not huge into winter camping. I'm not going to be taking this thing out boondocking in Alaska. So for me, I'm going to have a mattress, and if it's really that cold, I'll bundle up, I'll have more blankets, a thicker sleeping bag, what have you. Another thing was the profile of the trailer. The wheels are set so far back on this trailer. Like I said, it originally had an overhang of between 2 and 3 feet. The original trailer that was built on here. Now, the wheels being set so far back is good and bad. It's good because it provides amazing stability to the trailer when you're in it. I don't have to have jacks on the back end of the trailer. I just have to jack my jack on the tongue up to get it level with the tires. The drawback, though, is a heavy tongue weight. Now I'm going to be towing this with the pickup truck, and I'm not so worried about the tongue weight because this whole trailer, it's very small, it's very compact, it's going to be light to begin with. But the farther back your wheels, the heavier your tongue weight is going to be. So if you're worried about being able to pick it up, move it around the yard, around the driveway, around the campsite, you may want to have your wheels more central and then opt for those jacks to stabilize when it's all set up. That will give you a lighter tongue weight. The last thing is prices, expenses so far. Now, what I've done is I've looked at loads and loads and loads of plans. I found plans from Popular Mechanics Magazine, 1936. I'm not following those plans, but I found it interesting. The title is Build a Teardrop Trailer for Less Than $50. So of course I said, well, how much is $50 now? With a currency converter, I found out it's about $920, $930. So I'm trying to keep my expenses under that. Now, they didn't take into account things like electricity. They didn't sheathe it in aluminum. They bought used tires at $5 a piece, or $5 total. So I have an optional expense list and a necessary expense list. Things that I find necessary and things that I'm splurging on a little bit because I personally want my trailer to be more comfortable or in a certain style that's going to cost me more money. So I will make a video on that. At the very end of the process, I'll go through all my expenses, things that I thought were necessary, things that I decided to add, and I'll even bring up that article and show some of the 1936 expenditures that were detailed in these plans. So now that that kind of stuff is out of the way, let's get to it. This might be a little bit of a longer video because it's probably the most involved process yet, and I just spent 3 minutes just talking to you guys. So stay with me if you want to see me cut out, and hopefully today I'll get these 2 walls erected and a couple of cross members to stabilize those. And we'll really be able to see the dimensions and profile of this trailer hopefully in a couple hours. I just had to run into the house to grab some batteries. I mentioned it was snowing, but Got about 6 inches of snow out here, and we live on a lake and you can't see the other side. It's really coming down here. This is kind of a pain, but it's so cold my tripod just straight up broke in half, so we're gonna have to find some creative solutions to get some good angles for you guys. Hopefully this video turns out okay without using my I think this came from Five Below, so I guess you get what you pay for, but she's done. I have these 2x3s here which are going to run lengthwise on my trailer, but since they were outside they've collected a little bit of ice. I've got them thawing out here. What I'm going to do in the meantime is take my two 4x8 sheets of birch plywood. I'm going to lay them here, get those trusty clamps, get them clamped together, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw out my profile on them so that we can get those cut out. I've got the heater turned off briefly here just to show you where we're at. Now I've got the two sheets of plywood stacked on top of each other and clamped together. I have 4 clamps. The more clamps, the merrier. If you can get this up and get clamps all around the sides, I would recommend it, because you certainly don't want these two to move. Otherwise, you're going to have differences between your two sides. I'm laying this on the deck of the trailer. I've got a blanket underneath it. I'm trying to protect these sheets as much as I can because, again, these are going to be the exposed surfaces on the inside and partially on the outside. I want to avoid scuffs and dings as much as I can. They are going to get a light sanding, so, you know, if I get little scuffs here and there, it's not the end of the world, and I'll probably be able to hide them with other carpentry. Now I'm going to be tracing out and cutting out this design just the way it sits here. I'm not going to cut out the door yet because I'm only going to cut one door on one sheet. So I'll cut the door after I take them apart. But I'll be drawing out this profile and then using the jigsaw to cut out along those lines that I draw. They're plowing the road right outside the garage door right now. But what I've done, and I'll show you, I'm standing on top of the trailer. I'm holding on to the ceiling of the garage, and you can see that's that back curve of my profile. And you may be able to see there is the front curve. The front curve, I used the Christmas tree stand to trace it out. The back curve is freehand. Now you could use something like some kind of radius circle drawer, or even a pencil and a string, or some kind of jig, or something just large to trace if you really wanted to. I freehanded it because it's not quite perfectly circular. That's not really the look I'm going for. It's a little bit steeper in the back. But anyways, this took me probably about 5 minutes of drawing, erasing. I really liked the way it looked in my drawing, so I took some measurements off the corners to try and get it really, really close to how it was here. I'm using this big piece of foam, by the way, to kneel on, and it's a real knee saver. I highly suggest, if you're working on a project like this, using a piece of foam, maybe a guard pillow, something, because before I was using it, it was really bothering my knees. I think it's important to note I've left 1 inch here of straight up and down on my radius on the back, because I've got 3/4 of an inch of plywood here that is going to have to at least be flush up and down. So I've left myself 1 inch over here just to give myself enough room in case anything goes wrong. There you have it, my first cut. It came out pretty good. The only thing I think I'm going to do differently on the second part is I'm going to run masking tape or painter's tape around the sides so I don't get these little scuffs from the saw itself. Other than that, it's nice and flush all the way around. I'm just going to have to do a little bit of cleaning up with the sander, take out a couple of these little high spots that the saw can't really do. But I'm going to tape up the other side and move on over there. So I've got the other side taped off, just like I said, on either side of my line to protect my board a little bit better. And I've got my saw. I wish I could get some more footage of me just cutting, but like I said, my tripod broke, so I'm just gonna have to show you the result because I can't really hold this and film at the same time and cut. So there's my second cut, that back curve. And just looking at it from far away, it came out really nice. I really like it. I have to go in with this guy and just kind of smooth out. I have a couple little humps here and there, a couple little divots from the saw. I mean, it didn't go perfectly, but I didn't think it would. I knew I'd have to clean it up a little bit. But anyways, I do have my whole profile cut out here, and I really like it. It's just the shape I was going for. I can't wait to get them stood up. So I'm going to clean this up. And then we're going to try and get these stood up and mounted on the deck. So stay with me. Now this is one of my favorite tools. To be honest, I don't know what it's called. I call it a rasp. Maybe it's not that. I could just be making a fool of myself on the internet, but it's great. It's like a cheese grater for wood. And it's perfect to go around these edges and really get them nice and flush and take out any imperfections and high spots. But I really, really like to use anything. I'm running the kerosene heater here to try and warm up my liquid nails. It's so cold here, that stuff did not want to come out, so got to try and thaw it out. Okay guys, I was going to show you my frame here, but I was too excited. I got the walls up too quick. I'm going to throw some quick cross members up there so there's not so much strain on the screws, but I'll show you how I built the frame. I have the 2x3s running down either side, 2x2s on the end. That end's all the way flush. This end I left space because of my curve. I'm going to have to bevel it. So my roof is going to come down over this. So I had to leave a little space here. Use some Loctite. I'm sorry, not Loctite, liquid nails on the bottom of each of these to strengthen and also prevent water coming in. I did the same thing underneath the plywood walls. Quick side note, just in case anyone asks, the fenders are not attached. I got these fenders for it. They're fenders off of a 28, 29 Model A. They're going to fit really well, but I just wanted to set them up there to see how they looked. But I think they're going to look really good. Here she is. The walls are up. That's it for me tonight. I wish I could get you a wider shot, but it's kind of tight in the garage here. We'll do a quick walk around. You won't be able to see much until I get it outside, and the snow is piling up, so it's probably going to be a little while. So I just have one support in for now. It's going to be in the garage. It's not going to go anywhere. I got the sides screwed down. I got everything sealed up with the liquid nails as well. So we're going to let that set till tomorrow, and tomorrow I'm going to get started on getting the rest of these frames in and some preliminary cabinetry. So thanks for watching this installment of the teardrop trailer build. It's starting to look like a teardrop trailer. I'm getting real excited. And check out the other videos and stay tuned for upcoming ones. Thanks for watching.